What's going on, people? Welcome back to AFTV. We are still here in sunny Madrid, taking it all in. Yes, yes, yes.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Listen, from the Bernabeu to Portman Road, we have to talk about the game that's coming up. It's Ipswich Town versus Arsenal this Sunday, a 2 p.m. kickoff in the Premier League. The Tractor Boys will make some noise, but the Arsenal men will rise again. It being Easter Sunday, I thought that was fitting. No, don't walk off. How's that? Come on, no, that was proper. Rise again, Easter Sunday. Come on.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that.
No, Lee, I was trying to look for someone in police. So you know the police yesterday, them heavy-handed ones riding on the
take him away.
The buttons.
Someone just ride past and lick him right in the back of his head after that, you know what I mean?
They nearly got us yesterday, didn't they?
They almost got us. But the Tractor Boys will make some noise, but like I mentioned, we will rise again. It's Arsenal in the Premier League. I know everyone's going to be how we are right now, living off the result against Real Madrid, but we have to focus in back on the Premier League. I know fans will say, you know, it feels like it's dead. You know, we're not winning the league. Let's forget about this. Let's look at PSG. But boys, we can do both. We can look at the game coming up against Ipswich and then look at PSG in a sense by saying, because we're going to do a Predicts 11 video within this preview as well. Do Arsenal look to rotate going forward into this game to try out what we might see, you know, later down in the Champions League? For instance, Partey getting that yellow card, he's not going to be available for PSG. Would you want to see Arsenal try a different midfield against Ipswich, or do you want them to take it serious and go strong, Robbie?
No, we for me now, you know, when it comes to Sunday, we've got to put the Bernabeu stuff behind us. Obviously, big contrast in stadiums, but I'm looking forward to going to Portman Road. We haven't been there for years. Yeah. I remember the last time we went there, if I remember rightly, we lost. I remember I went to that game. It's a bit like coming to Bernabeu. It poured down with rain that night, and we lost, I think, in the League Cup. We did turn it around in the second leg. But I want Arsenal to take it seriously. I want us to finish the season strongly. I don't think there has to be a reason for massive rotation unless there are players that are feeling it a bit from this game. And I'll tell you the truth, right? Was it an ultra taxing game on the players where...
Robbie, you're not going to say what against Real Madrid?
No. This second leg, was it an ultra taxing game? It didn't go to extra time or nothing like that. So I look at a player like Saka and I'm like, I feel unless he got any knock or any little thing like that, don't risk it. But players like that should be fit to go on Sunday. And I'm looking at the games ahead. We got Sunday. Yeah. We got Palace on the Wednesday because that game's been brought forward because next weekend they've got the FA Cup semi-final. So effectively, we got those two games coming up. And then we're not going to have a game that weekend, so we're going to have a rest before we get to that game against PSG, which is then on the Tuesday, right? So, for me, I want to see a pretty strong team for Arsenal going into Portman Road with not loads of rotation. And also, I feel it's very important to win these next two games against Ipswich and Palace, two very winnable games, to secure the top four places. They're not secured yet. And try and secure that second place because all of a sudden Newcastle, they're on a charge. We got to play them at home as well, but they're on a charge. Let's just keep these teams at bay and let's finish the season strongly. Let's finish with momentum. Let's go into that game against PSG with momentum, playing well. Players are playing well, you know.
But do you need to? We drew our last games between the Real Madrid games and were phenomenal. So
I know that.
Does it matter in the Premier League?
I know that, but for me, we've drawn too many games recently in the Premier League. Let's finish the season strongly. And as I said, I don't think there's any reason to have any big resting of players, and only if players have been ultra fatigued from this game or suffered knocks. I want to go strong, and I want to get the 3 points.
I'm going to make you pick a side here, Lee, then. Do you think it wasn't taxing? Because that is a big statement against Real Madrid. And listen, Saka...
No, I didn't say it wasn't taxing. It's been on the news. It wasn't.
You said it wasn't overly taxing. You said it's on the other night.
It weren't overly... Did players come off there looking beat and knackered? It weren't extra time.
It's Real Madrid. Like Saka even said, I'm staying up. I'm not going to sleep tonight. Mentally... It's a big. It will be taxing on those players. They're gonna want a bit of a rest. That's a big night.
Yeah, but in a good way.
They travelled as well.
But it's in a good way, and it's like that adrenaline still flowing. That's why he said he didn't want to sleep.
But it's still taxing.
He ain't saying right. No, but if it was really taxing, he wouldn't be saying I can't sleep. He'd be saying I'm absolutely knackered. I can't even walk. I need to go. Yeah, no player I don't think's talking like that after the game. That's just my thoughts.
All right, well, Lee, do you think the players should be rested for that game against Ipswich, or do you think like Robbie's kind of mentioned, it's positively taxing on them, so they should be fit and ready to go again at 100%?
I think they would be if it was a game that we needed to win for the title or whatever. I think that they would be able to go again, but. I think it's a perfect opportunity to just give a couple of little bit of a break, especially over we've got like 2 games in 4 days now. So I think that there will be rotation, and of course, if we do win this game, we save Spurs from relegation. So,
so what do you want? Do you want to win or do you want to lose?
Under 18s can have a run out, or the under 10s, as far as I'm concerned.
Still a chance. Obviously, Ipswich are 14 points, to be fair, off being safe, with West Ham being there. Obviously, Ipswich sitting in 18th position. But as much as you joke, Spurs aren't going to be relegated. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. You might see a bit of rotation.
There's a chance.
That's all you need.
There's always a chance. 0 chance, as they said about us. So there's always a chance. 0-0.
Are you agreeing and on the same mindset as Robbie when he says, I want to see a performance that gain momentum going into those final stages of the Champions League? Because like I mentioned, the other games in the Premier League have been draws, and we've been amazing against Real Madrid.
We've been poor. We was poor against Everton. It was a poor game. It was a poor game against Brentford. Who cares? Because the games that mattered was these 2 against Real Madrid, and we was fantastic. And that's what matters now for me, is what happens in...
Got to secure that top 4 though, Lee.
But we can.
Because you do care about being second.
Listen, and we will do that. But we've got, if we rest 1 or 2 players, 3 or 4 players, we've still got good enough players to get us over the line.
1 or 2 for me.
So I think that I don't want to see
wholesale changes.
Like Trossard will come in. I think that's Wanyeri will come in, and that's not bad. And the midfield can't be rested that much because we ain't got Jorginho, he's injured. So it will probably be Declan Rice and Thomas Partey. Now, where I think you might have rested Thomas Partey against Wednesday, I wouldn't be resting him. He plays the next 2 games. Maybe Declan gets a rest somewhere along the line. Maybe in one of those games, try the midfield player that you think that might. I think maybe against Crystal Palace, play Lewis Skelly in midfield to see if he can do that role that Declan's been doing.
We'll get to that. Let's get to that because we'll get to Predict 11 video. We'll get to Predict 11 segment in this video. Let me just read some stats around this game and then get your score predictions, and then we'll go into what we want to see. So Ipswich have never won in 11 previous Premier League meetings with Arsenal. They've drawn 2 and lost 9. It's the most they've faced a side without ever winning in the competition. So we've always had their number. Arsenal unbeaten in their last 14 league games against Ipswich. We've won 11 and drawn 3, winning the last 4 without conceding, by the way. Their last league defeat against the Tractor Boys was a 2-1 loss in September 1984.
I was there.
I laughed.
I was at that game.
That's being serious?
Yeah, it was at that game. Charlie Nicholas played in that game. We lost 2-1. Yeah. That's my last, a little story to that. It's my dad's last away game ever.
Really?
That was, yeah.
Sorry,
he never went again.
Why?
Well, you're so upset.
No, not because that. There was a little story of it. It goes is that we went in the stands, and he said, "I'm going to go up in the seats," and because like the posh seats, and there was fighting from the first minute to the last.
Oh my God.
And he come back out like he had a little bit of air at the time, like you know what I mean. And he said, "I've had to fight my way to survive for the last 90 minutes."
What was it? Was it Ipswich hostile? Was it?
And he goes, "I'm never ever going again," and and he never did. Never went to another away game.
Blimey, that is a story. Sorry, I sniggered then because I wasn't even born. It was so long ago. But fair, you were there.
I was there.
That's a story that you were there when we lost to Ipswich Town. Let's hope. You're going to be there on the weekend. Let's hope it's not that case. And then lastly, just quickly for the last stat was Ipswich Town have dropped 27 points from winning positions in the Premier League this season, more than any other side. They've only won 1 out of 6 games in 2025 when they've taken the lead. So that's just for you guys. They might nick a goal, but don't feel nervous because they keep dropping
defending
points.
has been shocking in some of the games that I've seen. They've actually had moments where they're playing well up front. And they've got players like Delapena who've done really well, but defensively they've been shocking, especially when they're trying to play out from the back. They've been all over the place. So, I as I said, I want to see Arsenal win the next couple of games, and I feel that I don't want to see too many changes for this game. I've got a couple of changes in mind, but I don't want to see wholesale changes because I just feel it's important to win this. If anything, I'd do more changes for the home game.
Okay, well let's
But yeah,
well let's get into it. Before we get into it, Robbie, just quickly your score prediction for Sunday. Score
I
prediction.
think we'll win the game. I'm going to go for 2-1.
2-1. Lee judges. Your score prediction.
1-0. 2-0. 2-0 the Arsenal, like, you know what I mean?
2-0. Big up the people.
So, man, what on a stag weekend or something?
There's a load of, listen, it was the Arsenal takeover.
Yeah, it is.
The Arsenal takeover in Madrid, and there's still loads of fans here.
Big up everyone. Big up everyone. There's some people last night as well. Big up everyone.
As you can see,
we're still here.
As you can see, the fans are still buzzing. They're still buzzing, right? You know what I mean?
We're enjoying it.
We're enjoying this, right? And I want to continue that through. Let's continue through the good feeling until we get to that PSG game.
I'm gonna go.
What are you going for?
2-1. It's gonna be a 1-0 or 2-1. I'm gonna go 2-1
Kivio
Arsenal.
and Saliba not conceding a goal? No way.
Well, we'll see. But that's
I like Delap though. He's looked
He's
really
a good player.
He came
Very
off the
good
bench in their last game against Chelsea. He didn't start. I don't know.
And they got a good draw against Chelsea.
They did play. They did.
Yeah, 2-2.
Although they were 2-0 up.
Yeah.
But that shows you they got threats. You know what I mean? And they are. They going forward they've been good, but as I said, defensively they're shaky.
And let me read just some of their injuries. They got Amaro Hudson, who potentially will be available for Sunday, but he's been out with a hamstring injury.
Obviously, ex-Arsenal player.
Ex-Arsenal player. Kieran Phillips as well. They've also got Schmodix, who potentially might be returning. No, he's not. He's out. Schmodix is out as well. Another good player, and Philogene are kind of the key players I look at who are very good. All right, let's go to Predict 11. Come on, then, boys. Let's work it. In goal, are you rotate? Are you letting Neto get minutes? Is it that done for you, or would you keep Raya in goal?
Raya's in goal for me.
Raya, yeah.
Oh, you thought about that one?
I did think about it because he's vital to how we play. But if you're going to rest him, maybe at the Emirates, not away at Ipswich.
Yeah, Robbie mentioned that earlier. He said the home game I'll be looking at making some changes. All right, so Raya in goal. We think we all want Raya in goal. We think Arteta will go Raya in goal. What's the back four? Who's playing right back? Do you rest Timber after a performance like that?
That's one of my changes. One of my changes, I bring Ben White in. I think he needs to get minutes.
Yep.
I think, he's been getting these little knocks and stuff like that. This is the game to start him with. That's one player. The two wing backs or the two full backs for me, they would have put in a lot of serious effort into these games when you consider who they've been up against. And I'd probably be looking to rest them too. I'd bring. Do you want me to give you my back four?
Yeah, give you
my back four. I'd have Ben White, Saliba, Kivior, and Kieran Tierney.
Wow. Oh, well, I mean, he's gone with Kieran Tierney instead of Mars Lewis Skelly there, instead of Zinchenko.
Just because
same back four
Lewis Skelly's been brilliant, but just a rest. That would have been for them two in particular. The last 2 weeks have been very taxing.
Okay, so Lee's gone with the exact same back line.
Okay.
There's no one worried about the Saliba or Kivior getting it in, picking up.
But who else are you going to put in for him, Cecil? That's the thing.
But it's a big risk though as well, because if you lose any of them two, we are really scraping the barrel.
Yeah, but I think Timber is a big worry because he has picked a little knocks and he's vital again. That PSG game with their wide players, very important that he's fit.
I would probably definitely rest Timber for this one, but then in the game against Crystal Palace, I'll bring Timber back in and rest Saliba. That's what I'll do for that game. So, but I think that's needed. But for me, I think that's a good back four. I agree with Robbie. Those fullbacks work very hard in this system.
Okay, so
and I think that's a good shout.
That's fair. That's just what you both have gone with. What you want to see. Do you think Arteta? Do you think he aligns with that, or do you think he sticks to the same back four against Real Madrid?
I think he may. I think he'll rest him, but he might play Lewis Skelly.
Okay. Right, let's go into midfield. Midfield three. This is where it doesn't get tricky because you can go with your strongest midfield three, but they put in a lot of work, a lot of yards. You spoke about Odegaard and him off camera. You spoke about how he worked in the press against Real Madrid the other night. You spoke about, Declan Rice. He got man of the match. The guy runs and covers every blade of grass. Might need a rest. Do you do it in this game? I mean, Thomas Partey, silly, it's the foolishness from him by picking up that yellow card. Do you take him out and punish him for that, or do you or maybe try something different in build up to the next game in the Champions League, or do you play the same midfield three? This one, it gets a bit tough in here. You can try things or not.
Not a lot to try. What options have you got in there? Like maybe Lewis Skelly coming in there at some stage. I'd love to see him, what he could do in that midfield role.
you put Zinchenko in midfield?
Zinchenko could come in there. For me, though, I think like Thomas Partey starts.
Okay.
I would maybe bring in Zinchenko and I'd keep Odegaard in it because I do think, you know, he needs to just get his form right. You know what I mean? He works hard and all that, but he's not quite. So look, listen, he's a class player, but he's just not at the moment, like form-wise. So play yourself back into form a little bit. And a game against Ipswich where it might be a little bit open, I don't know. I will go there. Do you know what? I bet Declan Rice does play though.
Yeah. So you've gone with a party. He's gone with a party there, Zinchenko and then an Odegaard. Yeah. You can even talk about bringing Marino back into midfield. What would you do, Robbie?
Well, to me, I probably would have rested Declan Rice if Jorginho was available, but he's not.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the same midfield. Partey, I would have probably rested him had he not picked up that card.
Yep.
So he's not going to play in that PSG game. So for me, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, I think, you know, I'll be very surprised. The only thing I was thinking, would you maybe put a Wanyeri in that position?
That'd be lovely.
Where Odegaard plays. But then, to me, I'm with Lee. I want to see Odegaard play himself back into peak form. And the next couple of games, got a chance to do that. So
could you rest Rice and put a Wanyeri in that 8 role and then keep Odegaard there as well?
I want to win this game, man. I'll play Rice.
Okay. It would be, as I asked you that question, I would like to see Arteta do something like that. I'd love to see Wanyeri in that 8 role. I mean, this is what I want to see personally in that midfield. It would be maybe a Partey, in the 6, and then an Odegaard definitely needs to play back himself back into his form that we've seen in the past, and then a Wanyeri would be nice in there. But he's probably going to go with a strong midfield because you need a strong midfield to win a game. Midfields win games, and he's
Arteta's always players off. You're up, in the lead, and that you can take players off. But
he's always
my starting. You know,
Arteta's always shown that he's taken every competition seriously, even though it feels like it's done. It made changes against Everton, but he seems like he wants to go with someone strong. Front three for me. Saka.
I keep him in because he's on form at the moment. He's looking fit, he's looking strong, and he needs to get even fitter than what he is, right? So I keep him in. You could take him off later on.
Yeah, he did come on.
Marino down the middle because I think he's done really, really well for us. Keep him going, keep him getting used to that position.
Yep.
And on the left-hand side would be my change. I bring in Trossard. I think Martinelli put in that is one player who did put in an absolute, what that they didn't all put in a shift, but he was doing so much work, right?
Would he feel hard done by if you come out the side?
I think players at this stage, you're going to understand. If you know that you're sort of being rested because you're probably going to start against PSG, you're going to accept that. You're going to be cool with that. So for me, I'd rest Martinelli and start with Trossard. Trossard, I think will do well in a game like this.
You haven't used Ethan at all.
I haven't, because I'd have Ethan for that, to bring on later on, either as cover for Odegaard or to come on for Saka, probably for Saka, but I want to get Saka back to his absolute peak ahead of those big 2 games against PSG.
Lee, for you, I mean, again, I remember we was in the stadium in the Bernabeu watching Ethan Wanyeri do sprints after the game. Listen, I'm not saying you have to campaign for him to come back into the side, but it's not like we ever forgot about him, but I'm surprised he's not getting as many minutes. I'm surprised he didn't come on get any minutes against Real Madrid the other night. I mean, would you start him in this game? Do you feel like he needs to be seen, or is Robbie right? I mean, Saka, you play your best players. Saka's on a great run. Do you keep him in there?
I'm resting with 2 wide players.
Fair.
They're not playing.
Okay.
They're not starting. So Wanyeri for Saka.
Yep.
Trossard for Martinelli. Yep. And Marino down the middle still, because I think Marino needs to continue to keep playing. He's been playing really, really well. He's actually played well in midfield as well in the last few games. I think his turnaround form since January has been unbelievable. Really, confidence just shows what confidence can do. Yeah. And all of a sudden we're seeing a player that you think, wow, I like what I'm seeing there. But I think that the role that he's playing up front, he's still learning it, still needs to do things. So I would keep him in there and definitely rest those 2 wide players. By the way, was work rate. It was incredible,
unbelievable.
So for me, just preserve them, just keep them, wrap them up in cotton wool now. Come on, last 20 minutes or something. Maybe start against Palace, but for me, rest.
It's funny, right? I'd more rest Saka in the Palace game. Right, because that's getting nearer now to, So I
bet you don't. I bet when we do the next preview,
I bet you don't.
I know you say this now, but I bet if we do the preview, you'll say, I want Saka to start.
That's the game before we play PSG. Even though And even then, it is the Wednesday, and the game's not until the following Tuesday. I don't think unless a player's in that red zone or fatigued or anything. The ones I specifically want to see. I mean, Timber for the next 2 games. I'd be looking to have him on the bench for both games if possible. You know, because.
But why is that? Is that because he's come back off of a season that started before the season?
And he's had a lot of games, and he's more susceptible to injuries.
I'm leading you to this, but Saka came from a hamstring injury, Robbie. So
yeah, but I'm saying if there's any shout of any problems there,
okay.
But if it's he's looking strong. So
okay, do you know what? What I will agree with, listen, you've both made decisions about who should start in the wide positions. I will agree with Mikel Merino has to start. The confidence that man must be having right now. He's taken over some of the players that have been playing in that position all season. He's got more goals than them. He got 2 assists the other night.
Yeah.
I mean, he must be flowing with confidence, and you've got to keep him in that position. Keep learning that position up front.
I want to ask this question: is everybody still slagging off that signing? Yeah, because a few weeks ago, probably like actually 6 weeks ago, people were slaughtering the signing of Mikel Merino. Yeah. Is that not proving now to be a good signing?
Yeah.
Right, that you've got a player that's actually been able to come from his midfield position and step up, a bit like what Havertz did last season, and step into a position, and he has been so important. That goal he scored last week at the Emirates is what gave us that buffer, right, coming here, right? The 2 assists last night, the goals he scored for Arsenal this season. It's not a bad signing, is it?
Unbelievable. What you said there is spot on.
As I keep saying, Arteta's a very, very lucky man.
And this is not that it's not that we shouldn't have signed a striker.
That's true.
It's not that we shouldn't have signed a striker, but you got to give credit for that signing, because they've obviously seen something in his character. Not that they knew. It's not that they knew, right, that necessarily he could play even as a forward, but they know that the character and the technique and skill of this guy is that, he's not a player who's going to let us down, and he hasn't.
Yeah, Lee, you're funny. I laugh because you say he's lucky, and I remember saying it says the harder I work, the luckier I get. And Arteta, I mean, I don't know what it is. I remember they said in press conference, he used to wind me up. We'll find internal solutions. To be fair to them,
he's found an internal
solution. He used to wind me up, but
it's true. He's found an internal solution.
It's worked. So
he's done it, and credit to him again. Because
although he should still have bought a striker in January.
And we still want a striker, but
Marino in midfield, I didn't see it. I didn't see anything from. But listen, he's gone up front. He's got goals. He's scored goals. And I tell you what, when he's gone back into midfield, and he's done that on a couple of occasions since January, he's been a lot better. And his 2 assists yesterday were fantastic.
And Lee, remember what I've been saying a lot, it's his first season.
Yes.
And not every single player hits the ground and running immediately.
Yeah, the injury as well, didn't he?
Man came into the season with a fractured shoulder, right, kept him out, no pre-season. You know what I mean? Sometimes we do have to give players a bit of a chance. And I've been saying it all along. I kept saying that we'd probably see the best of him next season. But since January, he's been superb.
Been brilliant.
Right, well, that is it for the preview and the Predicts 11 in one video. We're going to enjoy the rest of the sun, bask in, what we've enjoyed
in the glory.
In the glory of the victory in the Champions League. But it is...
Portman Road.
Yeah, it is.
I'm looking forward to the contrast. No disrespect at all. I'm looking forward to the contrast. This is the beauty of football, that you can be here.
Yeah.
A stadium like this, the Bernabeu, Real Madrid, biggest club in the world, like 86,000. And then your following game, you're at Portman Road, old school ground, 20,000. But still, those fans are just as passionate. I'm loving it. I'm looking forward to it.
That's what you want. And the other thing is, urge all Arsenal fans, don't be ashamed about celebrating, enjoying it. Everybody going, it's celebration police act. Listen, we've just beaten Real Madrid 5-1. Bloody enjoy it. Enjoy the next few days. Enjoy celebrating it all, because I tell you, we've been in football a long while. It don't come around all the time. So enjoy it. Don't let anybody else spoil your enjoyment. Enjoy it.
And before we end as well, keep the momentum, keep the energy. Fans, that is, whether we're playing Premier League or Champions League, keep it going. Support the club through it all. Doesn't matter if it's done in the Premier League, still stay by the team, because they're going to need us. Listen, that is it for the preview and Predicts 11. Thank you for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video on your way out, and we'll see you at Portman Road. Take care.